Within the year of 1983, a cluster of scientists conducted a major experiment in a private facility. The hypothesis was that our five senses jammed our knowledge of eternity, and the exclusion of our senses concluded in being able to contact God. An aged dying man, who had nobody to live for, volunteered to be the test subject. Finishing a procedure of complex operations, each and every sensory nerve connection to his brain was disconnected. Retaining full muscular control, he could not perceive sound, smell, taste, feel, or see. With no potential communication to reality, the man was drowned in his own thoughts. Scientists monitored his dialect. A jumble of garbled sentences was perceptible. After 4 days, the man whined about hearing hushed, unintelligible voices. Scientists thought this was an onset of lunacy, and they uncared for the man's concerns. 48 hours later, the man cried, stating he could hear his dead wife talking to him. He became anxious, mentally tortured by his wife's deathly, bitter voice. All the more, however, the man was capable of talking back to his wife. Intrigued but not convinced, the scientists only came around when the old man started naming dead relatives of the scientist and repeating information only family would know. After a week of conversing with the deceased, the subject complained of the voices overwhelming his existence. In every second of his consciousness, he was flooded with countless amounts of voices, refusing to leave him alone. He occasionally threw himself against the wall, attempting to extract a pain response. The scientists fed him sedatives, putting the test into a deep, relaxing sleep. Only for 3 days, however. Night terrors severely haunted his dreams, and the sedatives were no longer an option. He complained of hearing and seeing the dead in his dreams. A day later, the dying man began to scream loudly, clawing at his worthless eyes. He stated that the voices were now deafening and hostile, panicking him every moment of every day. For 5 hours straight, he remained seated, repeating, "No heaven, no forgiveness." He begged and begged to be murdered. However, the scientists were reluctant, sensing that he was close to God. Upon the last day, the subject could not construct sentences, just producing noises. Displaying signs of insanity, he began chewing at his arm, ripping off chunks of his flesh, and spitting it out. He had to be restrained upon a table so he could not induce self-harm and conclude in suicide. A few hours passing, he halted his flails of pain and did not make one sound. Tears streamed down his face like a waterfall. For 2 weeks he had to be manually rehydrated because of the consistent weeps. Eventually, he turned his head to one observing scientist, and despite his impaired vision, his eye met the other scientist. Leaning in towards his ear, he whispered, "I have spoken to God, and he has abandoned us." The old man shortly died of an unknown cause.